Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing the second generation Vacheron Constantin Overseas, and this is the dual time model. So in the second generation of the Overseas, the company launched its first Overseas dual time for travelers, and that's what we have here. 42 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel. The watch measures 12.5 millimeters thick. From lug to lug, it is 50.7 millimeters across the wrist. And you can see on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, it's a good fit. It's a very flat, thin, comfortable watch, and I could recommend it for wrists as small as 14 centimeters circumference. So my wrist is 16, 14 is acceptable, and you can see just how flat the watch is with a sloped flank, so it's easy for a cuff or a sleeve to slide up over its edge. Taking a look at the hardware and the software, I believe that the second generation Overseas bracelet is qualitatively the best of the three generations. There are certainly more features on the third generation, and generation 1 is more intricate, but in terms of solidity and finish, I believe that the second generation is the best, and it also has a feature you don't get on the third generation, which is the fact that out of the lug, the bracelet will pull straight down. So if you have a smaller wrist, the bracelet will pull straight down around your wrist, whereas the third generation bracelet wants to curve out like that and flare and fight you. So it doesn't work on a tiny wrist the way this can, even though the case sizes are similar from generation to generation. Also, there's a solidity to this bracelet that I don't quite sense in the third generation bracelet. There's also a resistance to kinking in this bracelet that I don't get in the first generation bracelet. So let's see what you get. You get a beautifully finished bracelet, really. This is as handsomely hand finished as any Patek Philippe or AP sports watch. You can see that it has integrated design. Every version of the Overseas was inspired by the 1977 Vacheron 222 sports watch, and from 1996 the Overseas has evolved that design across its three generations. The integration of case and lug and bracelet leads to a stepped and tapering design. You can see that the flank of the case is polished and beveled, and the flank of the links all the way down polished and beveled. The outer faces are mirrored, the tops are primarily satinated, and we have this recurring Maltese cross motif down the center of the bracelet. If you look inside, you can see how sharply faceted and polished the interior recesses are. You can even see that the back of each link features vertical satination, so the attention to detail is outstanding. It's easy to size. As you can see, we have full removable links. That is every single link removable on both sides, and we have half links on each side for fine-tuning the fit. We have a double deployant clasp. You can see that the triggers themselves have a little bit of a Maltese cross profile outboard, all polished steel. Twin triggers ensure that it will not open accidentally. You need to press both of them to open the clasp. There's that Maltese cross emblem again. Push the triggers, open the clasp, and then roll all the way, roll to the case, where you can see that the bracelet is fixed to the case using screws and bars. That's an upscale assembly method that AP, for example, also uses on the Royal Oaks. That means the bracelet is well anchored and secure. I prefer screws and bars to spring bars. On a watch that's heavy and expensive, it's just more security. Now, the bezel has that same Maltese cross motif on its outer profile. It's polished on its tops. You can see that the recesses are vertically satin finished. We have the little bevel along the case band. The case flanks are polished, as are the lug flanks, and the lug hoods as well as case hoods are satinated. We have a Maltese cross on the crown as well as on the dial. The movement is Jaeger-LeCoultre based. I believe that this Vacheron caliber 1222 is based on the JLC 939, which does business in the Master Geographic. Here it's been reconfigured for a little bit different operation, as it features a true second time zone rather than the hybrid dual time world time of the caliber 939. The dial features a sort of herringbone motif, and then outboard we have a dished silver track that acts as a rayhot for the design of the dial, unifying the bezel with the dial base. It's also a track for reading the seconds and the minutes. The logo, that is the little cross, the hands, and the indices are all white gold that have been blackened for better contrast on the silver dial base. We have a little screw down pusher adjuster that can be used to adjust the radial date, and the watch includes a screw down crown that allows you to operate the dual time functionality. Now, what's important here is that the Vacheron system uses this little screw-down pusher to actuate the quick set for the date, whereas the JLC version has a little dimple that you have to actuate with a pusher tool, so the Vacheron doesn't need a tool to operate the date. Now, instead of the JLC geographic system here, we have a true second time zone that you can set independently of the time at center. And you'll note, although it's in 12-hour format, there is a little day-night indicator, so you can tell, for example, that we're looking at 12 noon as opposed to 12 midnight. Now, once I pull the crown out, I activate hacking seconds, the movement stops, the seconds hand is no longer moving, and I can set everything in sync. You can see how the second time zone and the primary time zone are moving together. Now, there's a power reserve indicator over at 9 o'clock, and you can see it has a lovely polished steel applique, which I enjoy seeing because it's a relatively short power reserve of 40 hours. As I manually wind the watch, you can see the power reserve indicator moving, which is fun for watchmaking fans. The case is 150 meters water resistant thanks to the presence of a soft iron cage like a Rolex Milgauss. It's 25,000 ampere per meter anti-magnetic. It uses a JLC based Vacheron caliber 1222 unidirectional automatic winding with ceramic rotor bearings, a 40-hour power reserve, 8 beats per second, 34 joules. It has 2 time zones, it has the stop seconds function, and it's free sprung for durability against shock. You can see the case back is solid because there's an iron cage inside that would block your view of the movement anyway, but rest assured the JLC movement is well made and handsomely finished, and the link between Le Culte and Vacheron Constantin is a long-running one that dates back to the 19th century, so a high horology JLC movement and a high horology Vacheron watch is a good match. We have several different finishes on the case back, plus the image of the Italian naval training vessel Amerigo Vespucci, widely said by those in the know to be the most beautiful square-rigged ship in the world. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this Vacheron Constantin Overseas Dual Time.